And hello and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough, as well as across New York City. Coming up, we'll delve into the impact of the Inflation Reduction Act and CHIPS and the Science Act have had on the American economy, as well as small business. Next, we'll discuss initiatives and public benefits offered by an organization dedicated to assisting Bronx families facing food insecurity. And as the new year, I should say the new school year approaches, we'll explore some advantages of online degree programs at Bronx Community College. And then we'll discover how one bank is actively promoting financial literacy among young people. And lastly, we'll discuss Intro 573 Riders Law and its implications, particularly how the horse carriage business raises concerns about public safety. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way because now we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I am Daren, Jaime. You're now watching Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Now, before we get the show started we want to take the time to celebrate BronxNet. Bronx has been lighting up your screens and hearts for an incredible 30 years. And from the heart of the Bronx to your homes, we've been a family, actually sharing stories, dreams of everything, and the pulse of the vibrant community. And I've been here for a lot of that. So I want to just join us as we celebrate 3 decades of unity, diversity, and the magic of television that connects us all. So here's to BronxNet, the Bronx community, our past, our present, and our exciting future. Some things have been going on through the course of this past week. We'll take you through some of them with our Bronx updates. We begin with developments in education. New York City students are in for modified school schedules this year with shifts in start and end times. The adjustments linked to the city's newly ratified contract with the United Federation of Teachers, enabling schools to accommodate teacher development and planning. According to an education department spokesperson, schools can set their start and end times, adhering to the contract guidelines of not starting before 8 a.m. or ending after 3:45 p.m. or 4:20 p.m. on specific days for certain high schools. The recent contract provided school staff the option to allocate 100 weekly minutes for professional development as well as planning. Now, according to a UFT spokesperson, the time could be positioned at the beginning at the end of the day, or I should say the beginning or the end of the day, with the overall student school day, the duration 6 hours and 20 minutes remaining unchanged. In other news, New York City commuters will soon face higher costs for their travels. The base fare for single bus and subway rides will rise by 15 cents to $2.90. The 7-day unlimited Metro card surges to $1 to $34, and the 30-day pass jumps from $127 to $132, a $5 hike there. Express bus riders, they climbed to $7, while single ride subway and bus tickets elevate to $3.25. Now, an earlier glitch in the Omni system led to some New Yorkers being charged a new fare price 3 weeks before the planned increase. However, the MTA promptly addressed the issue, refunded customers, and corrected the system. So, no need to panic there. That's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We're taking a quick break, but we got more Open coming up when we return.
actor in an ad that was given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. Because if you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high everywhere anyway.
Attacks against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are on the rise.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer. In terms of the hate crimes, I think there is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
And we are back. Our economy is displaying robust improvement, characterized by a resilient job market and a gradual easing of inflation. Now, increasingly, experts are forecasting a smooth economic transition, a result partially attributed to groundbreaking legislations such as the Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS and Science Act. As we approach the one-year mark since these pivotal laws were enacted, it's crucial to assess their profound influence on small businesses and some similar entities. Here now, sharing more, we've got the Senior Advisor of Small Business for America's Future, Rhett Buttle. And Rhett, glad to have you.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. So when we talk about this here, the Inflation Act, CHIPS and Science Act, a lot of people say this helps small businesses. Give us a direct assessment as to how this actually is taking place.
Yeah, well, look, today we're celebrating the anniversary of the 1-year signing of the Inflation Reduction Act, and just a few weeks ago, the CHIPS and Sciences Act. We also have to remember that not too long ago, we had a bipartisan infrastructure law, right, in the American Rescue Plan. So really, when I think about all of these programs, I like to think about the four of them together. And really, it's a massive investment in the American economy and the American working class families and American small business owners. As you noted at the top, we're starting to see inflation start to ease. Job numbers are up. One of the exciting things that we look at are how many new people are starting small businesses. We've seen over 2 million applications for new small businesses over the last 2 years, the highest level that we've ever seen in a long period. So all of this is good news. And I think those investments are really helping small business and entrepreneurs feel confident about the economy, and they're creating opportunities for them in their communities.
You know, we're hearing a lot about possibly a soft landing when it comes to the economy, but that's a prediction that some people have. But how do these policies actually bolster the economy?
Well, the ways that these policies really help is that they invest in the American worker and American small business owners. And so many everyday Americans, people across New York, but also across the country, are working hard every day, right, to try to get by. And a lot of times what we hear from folks is that they're looking for just a little breathing room or a way to make things a little bit easy. One actual example from the Inflation Reduction Act, right, is that it caps the cost of insulin at $35 for people who are on Medicare. A lot of people are paying much more for their insulin. This is a really great example of how the Inflation Reduction Act is reducing the cost of healthcare for working families and people who own businesses across our country, making it easier for them to use the additional funds that they save from that on other things that they may need to operate in their daily lives or in their businesses.
Now, there are some critics who say, listen, this money, is actually being taken away, some from the IRS, and a lot of people say this is a great thing. But on your side, I understand that you have a different perspective.
Well, look, what the IRA does is it makes an investment in updating the IRS infrastructure. And so, every American business owner, individual has to interact, during tax time with the IRS in some form. And what we want is you want that experience to be seamless. Obviously, we have a lot of technology. Over the last few years, in previous budget battles, the IRS has been starved. And what that has done is it's allowed, not allowed the agency to be as customer-centric as it needs to be, but B, it's allowed a lot of people who are wealthy to avoid paying the taxes that they owe. So these new resources really are aimed at giving the IRS the ability to focus on making sure that the wealthiest among us pay their fair share in taxes, as well as just making sure that the agency is modernized and has the tools and resources to be responsive to businesses and consumers. And so we think that making sure the tax code is more fair and that the agency works well is good for all Americans.
When we look at the Inflation Reduction Act, a lot of people say that where we are today, as we said, predicted with a soft landing for the economy, but still some concern as to what the future actually holds. through the Inflation Reduction Act. How would you measure its success thus far, though?
Well, I think the Inflation Reduction Act does a few things. So one, we talked about, the important investments it's making in the IRS to make it more customer centric. We've already seen a lot of customer satisfaction come from that. I think healthcare cost is another huge piece of it, and just that ability to be able to bring down the healthcare costs, both in insulin. The act gives some new tools to the government to be able to negotiate with pharmaceuticals to bring down the cost of very high-priced pharmaceuticals. So those are all positive steps that put working money in the pockets of families and small businesses. And then one of the most important things as we're thinking about the future is the investment in clean energy, which is really the future. And it creates so many opportunities for business owners who are interested in this economy to take advantage of those opportunities through the money that's flowing down into their local and state governments.
Yeah. Rhett Buttle is joining us now, Senior Advisor, Small Business for America's Future. And as we look to the future, speaking of, legislatively, priorities, what are some of the things that you'd like to see happen, particularly for small business, and the things that we need to be paying attention to?
So the number one thing we hear from business owners is how important stability is. Over the last few years, it's become really hard for the government to do standard things. For example, you may have remembered, not just but a few months ago, we were having a conversation about how do we raise our debt limit and how important that was to the economy. And as we're moving towards the soft landing and really making sure that the economy works for working families and small businesses, we want to make sure to provide that. The next big battle is going to be over the budget. And so really encouraging both sides of the aisle legislatively to work together to pass a budget that works for small business, entrepreneurs, working families, and make sure that we don't end up in a place where we don't have the budget, because if we don't, the government will shut down. And we've been through that rodeo before. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for people. And so really just encouraging Congress to come together, get a budget that is responsible, that makes the investments in our country that we need to continue to thrive.
Brett, talk about small business for a minute, the lifeblood of America. Everybody will definitely say it's the lifeblood for which America survives. When we look at where we are today, we know the challenges of the economy. We know the fact that, yes, there is a predicted soft landing for the economy. But from a small business perspective, give us a little bit more of the, boots on the ground. How do you assess small business right now in this particular time?
So small businesses are the backbone of our country. They create 2 out of every 3 new jobs. Just under half of all Americans work for a small employer, right? That's how vital they are to the fabric of communities. And, we've come a long way since the pandemic, right? The Paycheck Protection Program played a key role in helping keep a lot of workers on the book. And, what we've also seen is we've seen a transition happen in our economy. And so, I talked about earlier in the program, we've seen more small business applications to start small businesses at more time than any ever over the last 2 years. So that is really exciting. More people are turning to small business and entrepreneurship, and I think that's all good for the economy. Of course, there are things that always continue to sort of make it a challenge to run a business. So one is workforce issues. As more people enter the workforce, that's a good thing, but it makes it harder to recruit quality talent. That's always important for small business owners who are sometimes competing with a larger corporation. But also the number one thing we hear from small business owners is access to capital. You need access to capital. Cash is king when you're running a small business, being able to get loans and financing. We continue to push on policymakers to really make sure that they are providing new and flexible ways and responsible ways of providing financing to small business owners who want to grow. They want to expand their payrolls. They want to make new investments. All that's good for the economy. We need to make sure that the funds are there to support that kind of work.
Yeah, Brett, a lot to look forward to, and certainly some great information here. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Brett Buttle. I should say Rhett Buttle, Senior Advisor, Small Business for America's Future. And Rhett, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
All righty, listen, now if you want more information, visit the website, smallbusinessforamericasfuture.org. Then also follow them on Facebook at Small Business for America's Future. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
My character, Shazam, knows all about growing up in a family full of teenage superheroes. They're bold.
Where's everyone going?
To fight crime?
Okay.
Adventurous. Shazam! There's never a dull moment. And no matter what happens, they'll always have your back. All they need is a place to grow and be themselves. And the best part is, you don't have to be a superhero to adopt a teen. Learn more about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward.
And welcome back. According to the United Nations report, over 122 million people have been driven into hunger since the year 2019. Now, adding to this concern and trend, WHEDco has just unveiled the outcomes of its survey investigating the effects of decreased SNAP benefits on food security to South Bronx residents subsequent to the conclusion of the COVID-19 federal emergency. Here now and sharing more, we're pleased to have and giving us some insight are WHEDco's president, Davon Russell, and senior case manager, Sindy Rivera. And thank you so much for being with us, both of you, and really having this conversation. I think it's very important for people here in the borough to really, and across New York City, to be able to talk about food insecurity, which is so huge, and the great work that WHEDco does. So thank you for being both with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Cindy, I'm going to come to you first. Well, no, let me come to Davon. I always do ladies first, but in this case, let me get right to the president, okay? First of all, glad to have you. Usually I don't have the president. Glad to have the president sitting next to us. And, share with us, because you guys have done a great job in terms of servicing neighborhood residents for a long time.
Yes. WHEDco was founded 30 years ago on a very simple idea that everyone deserves to live in a thriving community that takes care of their basic needs and more. And so with that premise, we have set out to do some of the things that you know about us. We're an affordable housing developer. We have the food pantry. We provide mental health services and so on. And we do a lot of supports for students in schools.
Yeah. And Cindy, for you, for people who don't know, you do a great job with SNAP, food benefits. For somebody who doesn't know about the food benefits program and SNAP, give us a little bit of insight.
Yes, so SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's a program that was basically created to assist low-income families, connect them to healthy food. So that it has caused a tremendous impact in families, because at least they know that they can, if they can afford food from their pocket, they at least have some money to spend on their families to feed them.
Yeah. And just talking, we want to introduce viewers who may not know, because you assume that people do know, but sometimes people don't even know what SNAP is all about. But the reason why we're having this conversation is because there are cuts that are on the table, and there are cuts that are happening right now, and they're actually, affecting people across New York City. What are we seeing, and what can you let people know?
Yes, definitely. Once the emergency allotment ended, we have seen a lot of families struggling to make ends meet. So we have families that are choosing whether they can pay their rent or buy food. So we have seen a tremendous increase in our pantry visits. Our clients or pantry are coming every Wednesday trying to get a bag of food, because what they get from the SNAP benefits is just not enough to feed their families.
Yeah. And Davon, during COVID, we know that WHEDco saw a lot more people during the pandemic. Talk to us about what you saw during and where we are right now.
So you go back, 3 years, March of 2020. About April of 2020, a friend of mine called me and he said, well, how can I help? One of the things that you don't know right away when we have these world catastrophes is that people go hungry. Mm-hmm. And it remains quiet for a while until, whoop, it emerges and you realize that people are hungry and not doing well without food. We right away started thinking, how do we get food to people, not through the regular channels, because we're not meeting as we usually would. Right. Cindy's not sitting in an office. And we thought of grocery cards. And so we raised over $380,000. We purchased grocery cards, and we set up a system where families could come in, get grocery cards, and they can go out and purchase food as they needed to. And we continue to do that even to today.
Right, so you got grocery cards that are out there, you got these SNAP benefits, but then these benefits are being cut. And we know that aid that we talked about, COVID-19 aid, is over with. And so now, where do you see families at in your neighborhoods?
So the cuts come at a time too when food prices are increasing.
Exactly.
Right? We talk about inflation and what that's doing to just basic food. So we conducted a survey of over 200 people. I think about 160 responded, and over 60% of them talked about the fact that they have to miss meals or they're making choices, as Sindy pointed out, between food and other things. We also learned that over 50% of them are visiting places like our pantry because of this cut in SNAP. I think on average it represents about $100 a family that they're losing, again, in the face of rising housing costs and rising food prices.
Yeah. So for yourself, what's it been like? I mean, being on the front line, working with these families and seeing the need and sometimes not even being able to meet the need wholeheartedly.
Yes, it's a struggle, and at WHEDco, we are so glad that we're able to provide support and advocacy for our clients. We find ourselves, fighting with sometimes HRA to get the clients connected to those benefits because sometimes they get denied for the wrong reason. So we are able to advocate and provide support for them so that benefits can get approved.
Yeah, I mean, I know working in public service for a long time that, you stick close to your people, you see them, and then all of a sudden it hurts when you say, I don't have the resources or the help to really be able to come through and do this. And as we're seeing right now, a lot of people being impacted because of the end of the COVID-19 relief. And then at the fact that, as we talk about, hey, we can pay, we can give you a grocery card, but that grocery card has also lost value because, the food prices are actually, going up. And so you're helping. But at the same time, now it's not at the same level. It's got to do something for you here to say, oh man, I'm not being able to meet my people at the same level.
No question about it. And one of the things too in our industry that we've been fighting too is how do we support our staff?
Right.
I mean, traditionally people who work in our industry are, underpaid, frankly. And we have to question, what is their worth? And so we've been doing a lot of that too, and kind of shifting and making sure that they're taken care of so they can help support people in the way they need to be supported. So it's been a pretty dicey time for us as an industry.
Yeah.
And again, given everything else that's so inflated about our economy.
Yeah, I know a lot about the food insecurity and the work that you guys do, but for somebody else who doesn't know, the other services that WHEDco provides, take us through a tour of the building.
We are just now, for example, in the final week of Summer Rising. Mm-hmm. We've helped school-age kids who come to summer camp for over 25 years. These are kids who come to a summer camp at 8 o'clock in the morning, they leave at 6 o'clock in the evening, making sure that their parents have a good, secure place for which to leave them. Mm-hmm. We have a home-based child care network that supports women who own and operate child care businesses out of their own homes. We have the food pantry that Sindy has talked about, and we have our mental health support systems that are not only in the buildings where we work, but are in 3 of our schools where we have partnerships.
Yeah. So for yourself, obviously, knowing with all these services under the umbrella of under your roof and under the umbrella, being able to meet families' needs are quite important. But can you give us an inside look as to how many more people you're seeing through the doors recently?
Yes, so a lot of new clients are coming for new SNAP applications, recertifications. We started with 30 tickets for pantry on Wednesdays. Then it wasn't enough. We increased it to 40. Now we're up to 50. And we sometimes give emergency bags for people that come outside of distribution times. Mm-hmm. So we always see an increased need. It's not that we're saying, okay, families are self-sufficient, they're not coming to us for services anymore. No, every time we see an increase in the number of people that we have to serve.
Yeah. Is there any particular category that you're seeing a need at more?
Food.
That's it.
And housing support. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we've had to do in a course correction when we talk to funders about what our needs are is this very thing. Traditionally you get contracts for the work that we do, and they typically sort of cover.
Right.
Now we have these emergency situations, so we've been asking funders for emergency funds. And with an emergency fund, you can help a family just as they show up. Right. Crisis with respect to losing their apartments. We had the ERAP program that ended. What do people do now? We're seeing, we own 3 buildings across the Bronx. Rent collection is down in all 3 of them because people are just having a difficult time.
That was going to lead to my next question, because when we talk about that ERAP money, that money's gone now, right?
Sure.
And so if you're a landlord, you're kind of like out there because the people are saying, I can't afford to pay.
Yep.
You can't get into court because the court systems are backed up right now.
And we're a compassionate landlord.
Right.
Given who we are as a mission-based organization, we're not going to put people out, and so the last resort is to take them to court. we'd rather support them, and this is Sindy's work as well. How do we get them support for payments of rent that's that's backed up?
And sometimes those supplies are just limited in terms of what you can do to provide that cushion.
That's right.
All right, so I'm gonna get the people some more information on how they can get in touch with you. But I want to thank you for coming and being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Good to have you, Sindy. Thank you for the great work that you do. Much needed in our community, and I know that the challenges are really rising, but thank you for being on the battlefield with boots on the ground.
Thank you for having us.
All righty. Listen, now, for more information, do me a favor. Go to the website, WHEDco.org. Follow them also on Facebook at WHEDco. We encourage you don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right seat.
Most hiring algorithms would scream me out.
Some bosses couldn't see me as a leader.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
I've been running code as long as I've been able to reach a keyboard.
This is what I do. It's second nature for me, coordinating 100 details at once.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
I sold them on my skills.
You gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
My magic is
analytics and empathy. That's how I'm getting clients. You have to have the confidence in yourself to show up and defy the odds.
I'm more than who I am on paper.
I never got a college degree. And today, I'm the CEO of my own company. People want to tell me I'm one in a million, when actually I'm one of millions. Stars are all around us. It's time for them to shine.
Hey, I'm sorry, we're just having a conversation. We're gonna bring you into the conversation, so welcome back. As summer draws to a close, the anticipation of a new semester begins to take center stage for numerous students across the borough and the city. Now, while many students choose the traditional in-person courses, Bronx Community College distinguishes itself by providing an online program satisfying students' needs for flexibility as well as convenience. And joining me now is the Director of Online Learning at Bronx Community College, Dr. Jordi Getman-Eraso, and we thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Daren. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we were talking just a little bit before, and that's why you joined us. We just bring you in on the conversation, right, about what it's like right now, because as we're coming out of COVID, we want to say coming out of the end of COVID, a lot more people are really going online, and it seems to be that there's this comfort, if you will, in online classes and pursuing education.
No, it's true, and that's one thing we learned. I mean, we've been offering online courses at BCC for a while, but COVID really brought up this notion that students would be really interested in online education. Why? Because all of our students have busy lives. They're not just students. They're usually also parents. They have to take care of family. They have work. So any time that they can save during their day from commuting, for example, coming and going to Bronx Community College, to take their classes is going to benefit them. So at the level of time savings, it's a great benefit. But also for us, coming out of COVID, the other thing that we also learned is, hey, you can't just offer an online course and just translate a normal course into an online course. You have to actually adapt the educational pedagogies to that modality. And so what we've really looked for is to bring out the best prepared and most interested faculty to teach the best possible online courses. We also want to, at the same time, offer students the best possible student services. So high touch, we can't do it 24/7, but we're going to get close. And we're definitely going to engage students in a way that they can actually feel like they're being listened to and that they are getting the information that they need, no matter where they are.
Right. So for somebody who's watching, give us some, what are some of the online programs offered by BCC right now?
So right now we are launching with, we have a liberal arts and sciences AA degree. We also have associate's degrees in education, English. We also have digital design, public health, Cybersecurity and networking is a really popular one. We both have an associate's degree there and also a certificate degree. So we also have coming on board soon, criminal justice. And then beyond that, also options in Spanish within the liberal arts and sciences, and also some special certificates in early childhood education.
It's got to be good because knowing that there's so many people who can't really make it into the classroom, knowing schedules are jammed the way that they are, to see somebody be able to pursue education or continue their education in this manner really should ring a bell home for you guys.
It really, you know, Daren, that's a really good point. I've been at BCC for 20 years, and you know, there have been times where you think, well, maybe I should get another job. No, you know what? I'm committed to BCC. Faculty at BCC are committed to BCC students because I've never had students that are more motivated, they're more interested in gaining knowledge and an advancement in life. And for me, that is our mission. That is what we're trying to transmit over into the online world. And we're doing it in a Bronx way. We're not doing it like, you know, somebody else might just, a lot of programs out there are offering online courses. We are addressing Bronx needs, Bronx students, Bronx context, and that's important to us.
Yeah. There's an e-portfolio program.
as well.
What's that about?
Well, students are able to develop their own websites to promote themselves for work, for transfer to a four-year school after they get done with BCC, to also develop and reflect on their work that they've done at school. So at that level, it allows them to really engage not just in their own reflective thinking, but also to reach out to others that might be interested in them as possible employees or transfer students.
Yeah. As someone who's taken online classes, I know for a fact that it's not as easy as people think. You know, it's quite difficult sometimes. And sometimes you really wish you could be in that classroom. But for an online student, what are some of the things that they need to be thinking about as they approach this?
That's a really good question as well. And because you can't just, like I said earlier, you can't just translate and move a face-to-face class online. You have to think about ways in which you can engage students, connect with them, have them feel connected to the course, connected to the college too. And so at that level, there are different approaches that you can bring into the classroom. And that's what we've been working on really hard. Reaching out to in fact, this summer we have a seminar for faculty. It includes 50 faculty, almost 47 faculty this summer, that we are engaging in conversations about online learning. How do you reach the student? How do you connect with the student? How does the student then feel included and listened to and a part of that experience?
What's it been like for you on this side, talking about from the academic perspective and then as the employer, having to give these transitions, if you will, to your staff, because it's a huge transition from standing in front of the classroom. We were taught how to teach one way. Now to take that and have to go to a hybrid formation. What's that been like for staff?
Another great question. I mean, it is something that I think is critical to any online program. When you're trying to do something completely new, it is a different way of engaging people. So you have to go from not just the classroom, you have to look at student services, start with admissions, go to financial aid. We've had long and very productive conversations about how to really address the central figure in this whole equation, which is the student. The student's experience is where we've started. And we try to be very empathetic about what the student is going through at each step of the way. And we've talked about it and adapted that to the online experience. So we're really trying to make their life as easy as possible so they can actually study and get on with their lives and actually move forward. You know, CUNY schools are known for social mobility. We are known for social mobility at BCC, and we really want to encourage our students to join us in that experience.
I hate to say it, but the summer is ending. Classes are getting ready to start. Fall classes are getting ready to start. So people are coming down to deadlines. So what are some of the deadlines for people that they would know if I want to register for class, get into an online class?
Classes start on the 25th of this month, 25th of August. There is still time to register. So if you want to, go to bcc.cuny.edu. You will find there links to the online degrees. There is a easy-to-click form that'll get you right to us, and you will be able to then go through the process of applying and being admitted, and we'll onboard you after that.
Jordi, good to see you again.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Daren.
Thank you for being with us, all right?
It's always a pleasure.
All righty, yes. Well, listen, for more information, visit the website, bcc.cuny.edu. Follow them on Twitter and Instagram at bcccuny. Fall semester is right around the corner. I'm telling you, I don't even know where all this time went. We were just in summer. Now we're talking about fall. Well, got more show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more open. I got good news right after this.
Where did the time go? Somehow I lost all those years. Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here. Or how did I get here?
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
We all know what it's like to feel alone. But it just takes one new connection. Want to get out of here? To empower many.
This is unbelievable.
It doesn't take a superhero to bring forces together. We all have the power to reach out.
Let's go!
And help someone feel like they belong.
Pretty cool, huh?
We are stronger together.
And we are back. As the back-to-school season approaches rapidly, Ridgewood Savings Bank is taking proactive steps towards their upcoming semester. The bank is introducing a range of student-focused products aimed at providing crucial financial literacy lessons to both parents and young individuals. Now, these offerings not only facilitate savings accumulation, but also assist in strategic college or vocational school planning. Here now and sharing more, we've got the Assistant Vice President and Branch Manager at Ridgewood Savings Bank, Janice C. Martin, and she is here with us in person. Janice, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, Daren. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you, and glad to talk about this because I think it's important that for young people to be established with financial literacy early. And sometimes growing up, banks weren't always so friendly, but we look at Ridgewood, and Ridgewood seems to be doing that. So talk to me about how you guys are doing this because it's important for you, I know, as a staple for financial literacy for young people.
Yes. Well, Ridgewood, your neighborhood bank, your community neighborhood bank is doing just that, as you had said. Growing up myself and with my children as well, we didn't have a bank that came into the schools or to introduce financial literacy to my children. So now that I'm working with Ridgewood and see that Ridgewood is making this a focal point in the community that we serve, it really make it really great for me to be a part of this.
Yeah. So for Ridgewood, obviously it's a commitment to really say to students and young people, we're invested in your future. We want you to be able to have some financial literacy, get an early start. So if I'm a young person out there, or I'm a parent of a young person, because sometimes parents need to know, listen, this is how you get it done, and we've got some people who can help you to do it. So for somebody out there, talk about some of the programs we've got going on that are helping students.
So firstly, we go into the schools. We partner with the schools. So far this year, Daren, we have reached over 10,000 people with over 160 events that we have hosted. In our community, we go in, we partner with the schools because we really want to bring financial literacy to the youths. So we start them as early as they can sign their names. We go into the school, we talk to them because we realize that empowering our youths right now and teaching them about financial management, how to create a budget, how to save money, we realize that it now has an impact on them and making them more productive citizens as they grow up in our community.
Talk to me about the receptivity here, because you're going in there, you're teaching young people about this. Sometimes they just won't spend that money. Let's just be real, right? But to save it and to really get financially literate and to make some steps, how are they taking that when you bring it to the classroom?
But I think that they love it because once the teachers partner with us, we talk about it, and then we invite them in. Sometimes they come into the branch, so we are able to show them like hands-on. One of the things that I really love, I see when we speak to the parents as well, because we have to make parents a partner with this, because we want to help them so they can help us to provide that sort of information to the children. They would come in, and we have our staple signature passbook for these youths. When these children come in with whether it's their quarter, their dollar, their $5, and they realize that's money that's going into their bank account, and it's growing and it's increasing, they're smiling. You know, children usually want to ask mom because they don't know the importance of money. So all they want to know is, can I get this? Can I get that? But when they have their real account and they're realizing that they're growing, it changes them because they want to see that money. And the education that we impart in them helps them to understand the importance of money.
Yeah, so you got what's called the Student Advantage Savings Account.
We do have the Student Advantage Savings Account, and that as well is an account where you, from 14 years old, they can have that account with a parent, of course. That also helps the parents, as a parent is a partner with that student, to teach them to manage money, how to budget, how to pay bills, and how to just be financially responsible. So we also provide with our online, we have a lot of online tools that you can go on ridgewoodbank.com, and we've put so many online information where teens can go and they can learn how to balance their checkbook, how to create a budget. So these are things that we pride ourselves, and they are they are 10 minutes and under that a student, a teen, can go on and learn how to do. So that they can go on ridgewoodbank.com and learn.
Yeah, and when we get up to the college level, I know that you also do some help in regards with student loans. And
oh yes, we have partnered with College Ave, and students, you know, it's tough paying for college these days, so we try to partner with College Ave to make sure students, you know, be able to go on there. They could refinance, apply for loan, and the process is very simple and easy. So we try to help in that area as well.
So for yourself, obviously, it's got to be a good feeling, not to just see, you know, us adults come through the door, but really to be able to partner and go to the classroom and see young people take advantage of these programs and get an early start.
Daren, this is what Ridgewood is about. We not only want to reach the parents, we want to start children from a young age and to bring that financial literacy to our students, because we have customers who would come in and say, I was a student. I had my account since I was 6 years old with Ridgewood, and they're still there. So that is a great feeling for not only me, for the entire Ridgewood team to be able to go out and let kids know about this and start them at an early age, because it's needed. Right. It is needed in our community.
So I know you're going to the schools, but if there's a parent out there right now that, you know, maybe you're not reaching their school, how do they go about getting involved in some of these things that you have to offer?
Well, we are involved in a lot of community events. We have supported like back to school events with different organizations in our community, because as I said, we are a neighborhood bank. So we go out there, we speak to the parents at these events, these backpack events that we support. We support college. We have given scholarships to students. We partner with the NAACP every year, and we want to make sure that we are supporting our children going back. And then once they get to that college, then that college age, we have set financial literacy. We have that college student, they're opening that account. So everything is just come together. It comes together from an early age right through to college, through adulthood. So that's what we do.
So what's it been like for you? Been busy these days or what?
We've been busy because I've been out there not only in the branch. It's important for me to get out there and let people know what we are doing and how we are helping our neighborhood and the community.
And you're finding that more people are coming to community banks, right? Because, I mean, the struggle is in the community and people are just, you know, finding a home right there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are just there to help because we offered and tailored products specific to our community. So they love that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so we want to let people know there's a youth savings account, there's a, you know, stuff that you can get help with student loans. You got a whole bunch of stuff that you're doing out there. Drop my pen, but I'll get that in a minute. But a lot of stuff that is really out there to offer. But as we said in the beginning, this isn't something that was always around.
But it's around now, and we are making sure that we have the resources so that students, not only the students, their parents and people in the community can take advantage of that. And that they can visit ridgewoodbank.com that offers all these wonderful resources and tools to have not only teens, but parents themselves go on and learn about financial literacy.
Janice C. Martin here with us. She is the Assistant Vice President and Branch Manager, Ridgewood Savings Bank. Thanks for being with us. Tell them where the branch is located. We got to tell them where the branch is located.
It is 3951 White Plains Road, right at the corner of 224th Street. Come on down. We will be love to sit with you and talk to you about what we can do to help your financial journey.
All right.
Visit ridgewoodbank.com for more information.
Janice, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All righty, listen. Now, if you want more information, like she said, visit the website, ridgewoodbank.com. Also, follow them on social media at Ridgewood Bank. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this.
Is it time yet?
It's time.
Let's go and time for dinner.
Oh, it's Rivera.
Donating pet food is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill?
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kitchen now.
And welcome back. NYCLASS works to change the world for animals and seeks to create a true humane society for all. The organization's efforts, multifaceted. From direct protest against cruelty at the horse-drawn carriage lines to enlightening New Yorkers and tourists about the reality behind the industry. Joining me now and sharing more and providing further insight is the Executive Director of NYCLASS, Edita Birnkrant, and we thank you so much for being with us, Edita.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so we see horse-drawn carriages across New York City, and you know, it's cute, it's nice, and a lot of people are attracted to them, but you're bringing attention from a different perspective. Talk to me about it.
Right, so like you said, it's been romanticized, horse-drawn carriages in movies, TV, Cinderella's carriage, but the reality is that it's 2023 now, it's not 1823. We're in New York City, Midtown Manhattan, where these carriages operate, is one of the most densely traffic congested cities in the country. So horses are prey animals. So what does that mean? That means that when they are startled, they run out of control. They have a highly developed flight drive. So that happens so often. These frightened horses dodging traffic and emergency vehicles in traffic, they spook, they crash into cars, people have been injured, the drivers have almost been killed. So it's a public safety risk and also just inhumane to have horses in 21st century New York City where they have zero pasture. Horses are also herd animals. They have no grass, no pasture. So they're denied everything that is natural to a horse, but also there's a lot of abuse that goes on with the horses.
We're seeing some pictures now, and you know,
right.
We're seeing some things, and tell us what we're seeing here.
Right, so this is a horse named Ryder who collapsed actually a year ago, August 10th. And this was a terrible situation of this horse who was elderly, 26 years old, the equivalent of an 85-year-old person, actually was very sick with cancer, yet his owners were working this horse to death, essentially, until he dropped on the street in Hell's Kitchen. The owner was whipping him to get up instead of helping him. The NYPD had to take over. And the owners actually falsified his age, saying he was 13 when he was really 26. So it's just, unfortunately, this poor suffering horse died shortly after this. But really, he was worked to death. And, you know, animal abuse is supposed to be a crime, but nothing happened. The owners of this horse who worked him to death still operate carriages in Midtown Manhattan. And you see the public safety risk. Had there been people in that carriage, children, a family, what would have happened? These horses often will just collapse because out of exhaustion or sickness or, you know, because they're old and not being taken care of. So that's just a recipe for disaster in Midtown Manhattan. They just don't belong in modern day New York City. And that's why so many cities around the world have been replacing horse-drawn carriages with more modern alternatives like electric carriages, or we have pedicabs, or other safer, humane alternatives for tourism. We don't have to lose the ride.
Right. Well, you spoke about some legislation that was out there last time we were here you were here on the show.
Right.
573 Riders Law.
Yeah.
Where are we with 573 Riders Law in terms of, well, first of all, educate our viewers on the law, and then tell us where we are.
Yeah. So 573, it was renamed Riders Law after that suffering carriage horse that you just showed. After he died, it was renamed Riders Law. But the legislation essentially would do what I just spoke about, which is just transition the unsafe, cruel horse-drawn carriage rides into cruelty-free electric carriage rides. So it's essentially the same beautiful, even more beautiful, safer carriage, just without the horse, without the abuse and public safety risk. So it would transition the horse carriages into electric carriages. It would actually provide better paying, more stable and secure jobs with better benefits for the drivers. So we see it as a benefit for everyone. It makes New York City safer, Midtown streets safer. It's more humane. These horses will get the retirement they deserve, live on grass with other horses, not be, you know, nose to tailpipe in New York City traffic, cooped up in tiny stalls, not ever being on pasture. All those things are cruel for horses. So this is a way to uplift everyone involved.
So the question I'm going to ask is probably the question most people are going to ask is we're here in New York City, and we've got cars, we've got trains, we've got buses, densely populated area. The question is, where are these horses being kept and where are they coming from?
Well, people are very shocked when they see where they're being kept. They're being kept in basically tenement buildings, warehouse buildings on the far west side of Manhattan by the West Side Highway. So think about the worst traffic during rush hour traffic these horses are going through. So they're on the second and third floors of buildings, tenement buildings, and they're in tiny stalls that are half the size they should be. These horses are never touching grass. So like I said, horses are herd animals. They're meant to be eating grass on pasture every day with other horses. So they just sort of shove them up on these upper levels into these tiny stalls in solitary confinement. That alone is cruelty for a horse. And then when you factor in that they're put into Midtown traffic all the time, many of them are elderly, sick, unwell, being worked to death. New York City is better than this. I'm a native New Yorker, and I'm ashamed that our city allows this and promotes it as tourism. Animal cruelty should not be tourism when we have so many other solutions. If Guadalajara, Mexico, all these other cities around the world, Barcelona, Shanghai, there's so many cities, Las Vegas, Nevada, have already transitioned, and Chicago took horse carriages off the streets. New York City is actually one of the last large cities that still allows this to happen, and it's creating such a public safety risk.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. So we're just urging the city council to, you know, pass this legislation as soon as possible.
But you approach from two fronts. You say on one front there is this public safety risk, and then on the other side we're talking about definitely animal abuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what can New Yorkers do in this plight to join the cause? Because there is a cause out there to say, listen, we want to see these animals come off the streets. Put them back where they belong. Not saying that we're anti, but we are anti-abuse. And so, what do you want New Yorkers to know?
So the best thing New Yorkers can do is every New Yorker has what's called a council member that represents your district you live in. So every phone call, email to council members makes a difference. They pay attention. These are your elected officials. Their job relies on you. If you call up and say, hey, my name's Edita. I live in District Blank. I'm your constituent. I really want you to sign on to Riders Law, Intro 573. These horses deserve better. Let's modernize this industry. Let's bring it. It's 2023, not 1823. So phone calls, especially emails as well. Call your council member. They want to hear from you. They really listen when their constituents call. And we already have 18 council members signed on to the bill. But we need a majority of the city council, which is at least 26. So we definitely need some more, and definitely could use some support in the Bronx. So if we specifically have people in the Bronx that are calling, that's a big help. Because, you know, it's an issue that is seen as a Manhattan issue, but really it's all of New York City that this affects, because it's considered tourism for the city.
You said you got 18 on board so
Right,
far,
we have 18
right?
on board. We need some more, though.
Is there any opposition right now, staunch opposition coming?
I mean, there's opposition from the owners in the industry who have a cash-only business, who misclassify their workers as independent contractors, so they don't pay any taxes or pay into, you know, these drivers. That's why we want to pass this legislation to improve their jobs as well. If these drivers get thrown from the carriage, right, and land on their head or hurt themselves, they're not even entitled to disability, much less health insurance, because they're not considered employees. So we have unscrupulous owners, like the one you saw beating Ryder, his name's Ian McKeever, who are misclassifying all these drivers, preventing them from even being employees. We want to change that. Everyone who is an employee should be given the rights of an employee and given the opportunity to have unemployment and disability and all those things. So there's a lot of reasons that we want to support this, because it really is a win-win for everyone. And like I said, we're one of the last cities to still allow this, and this is the time to do it. We don't want to wait for another tragedy, for another injury or possible death. I mean, wherever you have horse carriages in urban environments, it's a recipe for disaster. There's a lot of deaths that actually happen when you have horse carriages in urban environments. Why should we wait until that has to happen? You know, we've already had so many terrible accidents happen.
So what if we decide in New York, we're not going to ride horses around carriages anymore? What happens from there?
Well, we already know that a majority of New Yorkers polled do support getting horse carriages off the street. So are you asking if, right. Well, the thing is, it's a tourist industry. We don't really have New Yorkers coming and riding them. So the thing is, a lot of tourists that may be coming in don't necessarily know the reality behind this. So we are, you know, out there trying to educate them. And a lot of tourists actually will take a pedicab ride instead of a horse carriage ride, because they see how unhappy these horses look. Many of them underweight, and just, you see the sadness in their eyes, you know, being chained up like that in traffic. And so there's already a lot of tourists that won't do it. But the thing is, if there's something that's a tourist attraction at Central Park, some people are just going to do it because they think it's okay. So that's why we want to transition it to be something more humane and safer for everyone.
Great conversation. We got to continue the story. We'll continue following the story. Thanks for being with us again.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, I want you to know, if you want more information, you can visit their website, NYCLASS.org/stop horse abuse. Then also follow them on Instagram and Twitter @NYCLASS. Well, we've come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the WHEDco on Optimus Channel 67, Verizon Files Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. You can also catch a brand new episode of Open with Brina Valentino on Friday. And this wraps up this episode of Open. I am Daren Jaime saying make sure keep this channel wide open. I'm saying take care, God bless. We'll see you soon.